Hello Fragrance family, welcome to Fragrance Therapy. I'm your host Alam. Now, I find these influencer collabs really interesting because a lot of these influencers are big fans of like really high-end and expensive fragrances. So what they're doing is they're choosing to use these fragrances when they're doing their collabs with these Middle Eastern brands. What this does, it allows us, many of us folks that never get to experience some of these really high-end fragrances, to experience them without ever having to break the bank. And that's exactly what Cal Cologne's did with this latest release in partnership with Maison Asrar with Thriller 3. Let's see if this thing lives up to the hype or not. With all that said, let's jump in. So this thing is Cal's second collaboration. The first one was with Rehan, and it was this one, Rehan Tiger, Cal Cologne's edition. And this one is inspired by one of his favorite fragrances of all time, that being Penhaligon's Helfeti. Now, I am on record to say I don't care for this release. Not because this is a bad fragrance, I honestly just don't care for the original scent profile either. But the truth is, if you are a fan of that scent profile, this is a very, very good option because this thing is a monster performer. But with this release, what Cal and Maison Asrar did is they took inspiration from an equally expensive YSL private line fragrance called YSL 6. Now, I tried really hard to get my nose on that fragrance. I even went to Nordstrom's. They said they had it in stock, but when I got there, they had no tester. So at the end of the day, I don't know how the OG smells, so I'm not going to be comparing to that. I'm going to be judging this fragrance on its own. So what is this? To me, this is like a dark, seductive, really masculine type of fragrance. It says Thriller 3. I had no idea what the 3 was for. I thought there might have been Thriller 1 and 2 that I didn't know of, but I looked it up. There is none, so not sure what the meaning behind that 3 is. If you do know, let me know in the comments. But even with that dark, seductive nature, it has a surprisingly fresh opening. Those accords are fleeting. This is mostly a resinous, creamy fragrance with dark leather and incense hits in it. Looking at the notes, you get bergamot, lemon, cardamom, saffron, black pepper, and elemi on top. In the mid, you get leather, incense, clary sage, labdanum, and tonka bean. And in the base, you get sandalwood, vanilla, amber, cashmere, benzoin, and musk. Tons of notes. It is a complex scent profile. And if you notice, there are 3 different kinds of resins in that breakdown, as well as an amber. So this is going to be the lesson of the day. If you didn't know, resins are derived from like tree and plant sap. Amber accords are not something that's actually found in nature. That's usually just a combo of resins mixed with things like vanilla. When people say on these reviews on YouTube, something is resinous, it's a bit misleading because resins can smell very, very different from one to the other. True, there is an underlying balsamic nature to all of them, and balsams give off this warm richness with some natural sweetness. But let's take a look at the resins that are used in this. The first one that I read off was elemi. And elemi gives off like a slightly citrus accord. That totally makes sense that they use it on top because that's where the other citruses lie. Then they use labdanum. That gives off almost like a leathery accord. Again, that makes sense they use it in the mid along with the leather. Kind of see a pattern. Then lastly, they use benzoin, which gives off a vanillic accord. Again, makes sense. They used it alongside with the vanilla in the base. Hopefully that gives you a good understanding of resins, at least the basics. And I'm saying all this so you can analyze fragrances that you like and dislike that use resins and check which resins they're using in that fragrance. You might find that there's some resins that you like and others that you don't, and it's not just this blanket terminology. I'll give you an example. Like frankincense, which is also known in Arabic as luban. That's a resin that many people find very challenging because it gives off this deep smoky nature. And then some fragrance reviewers will just say it's a resinous and they think it's just like a blanket statement. So it just gives you an idea of what resins are and how they're used in fragrances. Okay, lesson is over. Let's get back to this one. Definitely gives off this like dark and mysterious type of energy. It's fresh in the opening, but it's also very peppery. And some people might find that like really strong spiced black pepper kind of off-putting. As it like settles and dries down, I think that like smoky leather and incense really takes center stage. Gives off this very super masculine, almost a bit of a rebel edge. But I do think people will gravitate towards the dry down of this thing because I do believe it's its strongest point. You get creamy sandalwood, you get ambers, you get vanilla. It gives a smoothness to the entire thing. This thing also reminds me of, hold on one second, this guy right here. Incense 01 by Swiss Arabian is just, I think, maybe a little less challenging than this, though I think this is a very easy to use incense fragrance. But this is like a little bit less smoky version of this. So yeah, it's not the exact same thing, but just gives you an idea if you smell this fragrance, what type of range you're in. So yeah, Cal Cologne is known for wearing all black, and this fragrance definitely like suits his nature, even the look of the bottle. And like his last collaborations, performance is a really big selling point for this one. It is an extrait de parfum. Longevity is exceptional. I'm talking about 8 to 9 hours right out of the box. No surprise there, being that this is a Cal Cologne's edition and it's an extrait de parfum. Now, projection is where I differ from what some other people are reporting. Many people are saying that this thing projects like a beast. I personally don't get that. It's good. I'm not saying that it's a bad projector. It's just not like this monster projector that some people are making it out to be. Maybe I'm quickly going nose blind, or maybe mine needs a little bit of maturing. I don't think that's the case, but I would classify this as a good projector, but not some type of monster beast mode projector, which is okay because I don't need every fragrance to project like a monster, especially the cases that you would use this, because this is a quintessential cold weather, formal event, date night type of fragrance. You don't want to be choking people out in those type of environments, but it's also something that you could maybe even wear casually, but it has to be in the cold weather. So what is my overall rating? If you look at the notes, this is like a greatest hits for me. You get spices, you get saffron, you get cardamom, vanilla, ambers, resins, right up my alley. I think this is a solid 7.75, maybe even 8 out of 10. Very good. Some might say, why is it not a 9 or a 10? First of all, I rarely give out 10s. 9s have to be like some of my favorite fragrances of the year. And the biggest reason this thing didn't break past that 8 out of 10 mark is, for me, the opening, I get this really strong medicinal punch. Now look, it does go away after that first like 20-ish minutes, but there's no denying I struggle a little bit with that opening. Past that opening, that little medicinal blast, it gets much, much better. And I think from then on, it's an excellent fragrance. But I would say this is not blind buy safe. Try decanting it if you're interested. Otherwise, if you can't find a decant, wait till at least the prices come down if you're interested in these type of fragrances. So yeah, there you have it, folks. My thoughts on Maison Asrar and Cal Cologne's Thriller 3. It's a bit of a tongue twister. I think it is a very good release, miles and miles ahead of Cal Cologne's Rayhan Tiger Cal Cologne's edition. I think this much better suits my taste. As you noticed, my one knock on this is a slight medicinal opening. I get a lot of that in this one. Maybe Cal is just a fan of that type of scent profile. But past that opening, I think this thing is really awesome. If you like these deeper, darker, more mature, masculine fragrances, give this one a shot. Let me know in the comments if you've tried this one, and if not, if you're planning to pick it up. Also, please hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep marching towards that 10,000 sub goal. That's the next milestone we're aiming for. And as always, stay tuned for more honest, affordable fragrance content. Until next time, I'm out.